Now, before we went on the break, we were talking about repetitive strain injuries.
Yes.
Now, you've talked about how this thing is quite unavoidable. How do you notice it? Does it present with signs and symptoms?
Yes, definitely it presents with signs and symptoms. Because when you do a particular walk, and initially, like when you started the walk, you know how your body is. Naturally, as generally speaking, a young person started walking, you know how your body is on a good day. When you set out to walk in the morning, you know how you are. When you finish your walk in the evening, you know how you are. But suddenly over time, gradually rather, over time, you might notice, these days after walk, I notice this pain, on my shoulder. I notice this on my, low back. My knee begins to pain me. There's always a symptom. And so when you present to the hospital on a normal day, you're going to pass through some assessment. However, some of these assessments will just go for like, it's a normal thing, or it's going to come down later, or take some drugs, and sometimes the drugs will help you, but over time, it continues. So you begin to wonder. And sometimes I've had clients that wanted to trace it back to the village. Yeah, that this back pain is so killing. I've been treating, I've taken all pain drugs, and the back pain still comes back.
Yes.
But when eventually, somehow they come for further referral to see an ergonomist, who takes 1 or 2 history. You don't even go too much. Just simple questions of what's the nature of your job, what's your typical day like. When you wake up in the morning, can you describe the first 4 hours, second 4 hours of your day? Where's your house? Where's your office? Those little things will already help you to know. If this man drives for 4 hours in traffic, for instance, what kind of car does he drive? Even go ahead, even looking at the kind of shoe he wears. Some shoes are gone so bad that it distorts the normal anatomical alignment of the spine. There must be pain somewhere. Again, sometimes because of nature of addressing high heel shoes in women, and other things, they tend to distort the structural alignments of the spine. Sometimes pregnancy too, which is that one we are not worried because it is physiological, because after delivery, it's expected to come back. There are some hormonal changes that take place. And because the pregnancy, the weight of the baby tends to drive the spine towards front. And so the back, naturally, as the baby pregnancy grows, the anatomy of the spine gradually tends forward. And so there is increased lordosis. Lordosis is a curve on the spinal lumbar curvature, the lower back. There's increased curvature. And so there are likely maybe pain there. That's why a lot of pregnant women will come down with pain. So an ergonomist who takes a few of the history will be able to tell you, it's because of this traffic, long driving, your shoes, maybe because you're pregnant. Don't worry. You don't need to take any too serious drugs. Your doctor will prescribe drugs, but because the doctor will be very careful not to give you drugs that will affect the baby.
Yes.
And so many times, smart doctors will refer you to go and see a physiotherapist who basically just put you on some, postural adjustments program, small exercises, and then you're okay. Some will not go to see the doctor. Some will not go to see the physiotherapist. Some will go to see the pastor. Some will go to the village to look for what's causing the problem. You see, but that's where awareness comes in.
Some even self-medicate.
So that's where the awareness comes in. And we in our professional bodies, for instance, in Nigeria, we have Ergonomic Society of Nigeria. We had a conference, a national conference in Lagos in December. And one of the things was we tried to propagate awareness. So people really know about ergonomics, know what to do. And also in physiotherapy, our professional body, we also do a lot of, education, trying to tell people that your posture is your life.
Yes.
If you do the wrong posturing, it either tells today or it tells later. But it's going to tell. And the good or the bad side of it is that whether it tells today, it is still the physiotherapists that will come to manage you.
What other way have you been able to spread the good news and the word that we actually need more people in terms of ergonomists in Nigeria?
Yeah, well, one of the good news is finding my way to your studio this morning.
Yeah.
It was very hectic.
Thank you.
It was very hectic, but when I remembered I was coming to spread the good news so that more Nigerians will know that there are solutions to some of these postural problems, work health. You know, sometimes I crack a joke. I say, what will it profit a man, you know, to work so hard in his life, and at the end of it, he doesn't live to, you know, to enjoy the money.
Yes.
Or maybe at the before retirement age at 45, 50, he's down with one problem that is related to his work. You know, take for instance somebody who has to do this particular job, and because he's not aware of some things he should do, for instance, who walk on a height, and he maybe has a fall from the height because he doesn't know he was supposed to protect himself, and he comes down with spinal cord injury, he'll be on a wheelchair for life. So many other things. A driver who drives without knowing he has to drive with the right posture, before his retirement, he might come down with a kind of back pain that you can hardly manage. Because if you examine the back pain, you might find out that a lot of structural changes are taking place. You know, you'll now be battling with age-related, because at that time, if you now have an interplay between the back pain that is as a result of occupation, which usually comes about working age, if you now interplay with the kind of back pain that will be as a result of aging process, that is a different thing altogether. But if the two of them now interplays, I don't know if you're getting me.
Yeah, of course.
What would person end up with? Probably at the age of 50, retiring as a driver, he can no longer walk straight. Or he will be visiting the hospital every other day. And people will have to be making the money, you know. He has to be paying.
Paying, yeah.
Like you're spending all the money you amassed
for health issues.
I know a couple of people who, quite celebrated people who, at the peak of their lives, they cannot do without having 2 sessions of physiotherapy every week.
Wow.
Or 3 sessions, either in the clinic or at their homes. So, yeah, they are trying to spend the money. The money is going around, you know, but what shall it profit you? When you can actually have good knowledge. You know, if you have the good knowledge early enough in your work life, you'll be able to prevent some of them. Like I walked into the studio and I saw the way you're sitting, I was quite impressed. And I said, wow, you were saying economics awareness is low.
Yes.
But then there you are. Probably you picked that from the internet. Yeah, you needed to use that backrest to keep your back fairly straight. It might not be perfectly straight, but at least fairly straight, because the sofas I see here, they're not the best of seats. Yeah, it's a bit low, and that's why if you look at me, I'm supposed to have, well, I'm not too tall, but an average person, like when you sit, I'm supposed to have an average angulation of 90 degrees. At this point,
the angle
from here to here, about this angulation should give me about 90 degrees. Then from here, about my point of my knee should also give me about 90 degrees. But if I'm sitting on a chair that is low, it's going to see it's a bit elevated. The angulation is a bit increased. And what it means that if I sit on this chair for a longer period, there will be undue pressure on my lower back. That pressure, if it's not well, if I have to continue, if this is my workstation, for instance, I have to sit here. It's a good thing it's not. If I have to sit on this kind of chair every day of my life, or most times of my life, the pressure will continue to be so much on my lower back that it begins to radiate out to my knee and to my ankle joint and towards the toes. I come with a funny sensation that a lot of people will like, what's happening? You know, I have this pain here. Sometimes I feel it there. And some people will go and start treating there without knowing that you just need to work on where the malalignment has taken place. So this, I'm not saying it's not good, but this is a studio.
Sorry, I actually even have to.
It's just 1 hour.
I want to cut you there because
talk,
does that mean that it's not just about work, or it has to do with...
You took the words right.
It has to do with even in your home. You know, the design of your chair and your dining table, your living room, your choice of chairs, everything
and
actually
sometimes when you want to just relax in your
it's
house.
all encompassing. It's all encompassing. You know, when in economics we look at not just when we're talking about work, like this is your work, right?
Yes.
Some people too, when they're home, it's at work.
Yes.
Well, some people when they get home, you think they want to go and sleep, they pick their laptop, work continues.
Or for those who work remotely, that they basically work from home.
Yeah, some people are like that. Yeah, good. And some people, when they are on the bed, you think they are sleeping, work continues. So you find that your bed is also your workstation. Your chair, your seat is your workstation. Your dining table may be your workstation. A lot of people eventually sit down to watch television. Now, sometimes I paint the work scenario of an average individual who wakes up in the morning, probably takes a shower. On a good day, maybe a few hours, few minutes of exercise on a good day. I'm not sure everybody does that. Okay, and then you set out to walk. How does he set out to walk? He goes, the driver picks him up, opens the door, he goes in, sits on the car owner seat, and drives 2 hours on Third Mainland Bridge to Ikoyi or VI, gets to work, comes down, maybe he takes an elevator to his floor, he might not even climb 3 floors on a good day. He gets to the office, the executive goes into his office, sits. He sits for like 8 hours, maybe breaking it only once or twice, and then he closes in the evening, maybe 5 o'clock, 6. He comes down through the elevator, he goes into the car, the driver shovels him home.
Takes him home.
He goes back. When he gets back, what does he do? Probably takes his shower, comes back to the city like this, in front of television, watches for like 2-3 hours. He moves, he goes into the bedroom, he lies down. Who knows, maybe if that bed is even an orthopedic compliant bed. The foam might not be too good. It might be a foam that when you sit, it sinks, so you see the contour of your body. That's not a good foam. That individual does that Monday to Friday. Does that for a month.
I was talking
1 year.
about...
It begins to accumulate
gradually.
And remember, his age is also coming up. And as the age is coming up, there are some natural things that are setting in. Diseases that are related to, aging process, which nobody can run away from.
Yes.
They are all interplaying. So you can imagine what happens.
Wow.
Yes, and we're talking about, during the break, we're talking about cracking your knuckles. Yes.
Snapping your neck too.
It's something that we have to talk about. And I was explaining that up until now, which you might have to correct me, I was opinion that it's not bad, it's not wrong to, to crack your knuckles or twist your neck to have that sound and the likes.
And you enjoy the sound.
Yeah.
It's
sometimes you're either typing or doing something and your hands get stiff and you just want to crack it to get some relief.
Yes.
So is it right?
Yeah, well, sometimes it can be therapeutic, more like, if you, like you just said, you're doing a job that kind of gets your finger to feel like it's stiff. You exercise it, exercising it might be trying to increase the ranges of emotion, but not in a very traumatic way. Sometimes the one I think you're talking about is the one you crack it.
You deliberately do
and
that.
when it makes that sound, you feel relieved, And then sometimes people throw their neck, this way, throw it the other way, and you hear that sound, and instead of you feel some relief. That's dangerous because you're quickening up the days of arthritis. Arthritis of the neck. Arthritis can be of the neck, can be of the lobe of the back, entire back, low back, can be of the knee, can be any joint of the body. So arthritis is basically, if you like, pain, inflammation of a joint. When it's on the neck, you call it cervical spondylosis. When it's on the low back, you call it lumbar spondylosis. When it's on the knee, you call it knee osteoarthritis or other osteoarthritis. Even applicable to all the finger joints, the small joints, they can also end up in arthritis. So each time you do those things, you are quickening the days of
not anymore.
So don't.
Of arthritis.
Like,
it's not healthy. If you have to do that, you have to do that in an exercise format.
Okay.
Like you're taking a walk, a brisk walk, or jogging. Naturally, your neck, the natural movements you do because you're exercising, but not that you're sitting down and you deliberately, You can also gently, observe neck exercises. You can go on side flexion. You can go this way. There are lots of exercises you can do on your neck, but deliberate exercise, but not traumatic. This way. Okay?
Like you're wrestling.
Like wrestling. And some people, when they do it, they're expecting that sound.
And they don't stop to...
They don't stop. Once you feel the sound,
yes,
it's not good.
I'm all right.
Okay, now a little digression from work and health. Baby carriers, it's a thing. It's a normal thing these days. Are they healthy? When you sort of cradle and prop and adjust the baby looking like a very cute little human being in the carrier, and you're swinging them up and down and taking them everywhere. Is it good for the baby's health?
For the baby's health, advancements in technology has kind of led us to so many things that sometimes might be good for us, but may not be good for the other person. Ergonomics-wise, it's friendly for the person who is carried it because it saves you the stress of maybe you're backing the baby and therefore the baby is adjusting your spine, pushing it forward.
And there's one that you even carry to the front.
In the front, the ones that the kangaroo
Yeah, you
Yes.
carry in the front. That actually even helps balance your spine. So
Okay.
it's even good, when you carry it in the front, carry the baby in the front. But what we haven't taken into consideration is the posture of the baby, himself.
Yes.
The baby you're carrying, which you are trying to use to balance your own spine, have you looked at what
That
the
is
baby
not
is feeling
fair.
like? The baby that you're carrying, that basket, I call it like basket, and swinging the baby like this, so that you, as I said, keep a straight back. Because carrying the baby helps you to walk smartly. Like ladies, they don't want anything that will, twist their spine
Yes.
or their shape. Now you're carrying the baby swinging, moving smartly like you would have moved on. But what of the baby that you're swinging? How is the neck positioned? What of the spine of the baby? What's the location? What's the posture? What's the knee, the joints, lower limbs, there's legs of the baby.
baby.
Are they well positioned? Have you thought of it? So it might be good for you, but it might not be good for the child.
For the child.
Wow.
Okay, so let's talk about ladies and heels.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned something like that.
Yes, he mentioned it in passing. So is it? I wouldn't want to. I'll try to say, is he right? Because
Okay.
What do you think?
What do you think? Yes.
Is
What do
it
you
right?
think about
when
wearing
you
heels?
raised that, I quickly looked at your legs.
No.
And I think I'm glad at what I've seen. You're not guilty for today. I
Yes,
don't know about
for
tomorrow.
today.
Maybe because you're dressed in jeans. But the heels, the ladies I've interviewed, or the ones that presented in my clinic, and I asked them, why do you always wear high heels? The average answer is that it makes them look smart.
Smart.
Is that true?
Oh, well, yes,
Yeah,
it does.
you
There's an
stand
extra
upright and
pop.
then-
It gives you a gait and you're
Yes.
smart.
Good. So it's allowed. It's normal answer for a lady. Okay, but that smartness should have a limit. We try to encourage a particular height that if it's more than that, it might not be safe for the spine. Now, again, even if it's more than that height, we preach that it should not be pointed, as in it should have a good base.
Okay.
That's
Like
why you
block
notice some
heels.
shoes that have a good base, so that when you're landing, even though it's high, it brings up your spine and your height. A lot of ladies also try to use to pop up their height, when you're standing on it, but you're also balanced. Good, no problem. But the ones that are terrible are the ones that are high and pointed, and they don't have good base. And I can share this. I've had to manage a patient, a lady, who was just walking on the Broad Street in Lagos Island. And according to her, the last she had was saw herself on the floor. Apparently, she slipped. The heels slipped and she fell on the busy Broad Street in Lagos. You know how crowded that place is.
Yes.
Yes.
And her problem was not that she was rushed into the hospital, because she was brought into the hospital like an emergency, because the effect was on the back, on the low back. She had what was a traumatic problem on the low back. As a result of a prolapsed intervertebral disc. It was a sudden fall. So her problem was not just that, the pains and discomfort, but her problem, when she recovered a few days later, she was beginning to share with us. Because the first day, 2 days, she was so bad she couldn't express herself. She was in pain.
Yeah.
When she was good enough to share with us, she said the thing that annoyed her most is not that she was admitted in the hospital for this pain, but that the young man who carried her on his back to uplift her from the floor into the taxi that brought her to the hospital
Yes.
was a young man that she would not have said hello to. It was not her level.
That is vain. We're talking about health here.
That is it.
Let's quickly
But you
take a
can
comment on Facebook. we have a comment on Facebook, and that's from Stephen O. Simon, and he's saying that, he always cracks his hands and his neck all the time, but he feels good and relieved. And he's asking, I know we've addressed that, he's asking if he's still at risk,
He's
doing that.
quickening his arthritis times.
So you should exercise more than just cracking. Yes, exercise
and
more.
Very quickly, because you mentioned about heels, a particular height. What is the height?
Yeah, a heels that's about 4 inches. So it's anything more than that.
I didn't get that.
It's terrible. Anything more than 4 inches.
4 inches.
You should
Okay.
run away. You should run away from that. And if it has to be that, it has to have a very good
Balance.
balance. The base should be very solid.
Okay, we need to wrap up now, but thank you so much for coming on the show.
You can join us tomorrow for another exciting episode of Tea or Coffee.